Hello everyone, my name is Alex. I'm a 2000 rated over-the-board chess player, and in this series we are trying to climb to 2300 rapid, and I'll be explaining my thought process as best as I can for your education and entertainment. My opponent here opens with a Pirtz defense, Perk, Pirtz, however you're supposed to pronounce it, and I quite like going knight c3. Against e4, e5, I play the Vienna. So what I kind of like to do is basically try not to play d4, which gives black, I would say, three options. I'd say three main options. This is one of them. So one would be to play c5 and kind of play it like an accelerated, not an accelerated, but like a dragon, right? With c5, g6, bishop, g7. The other would be to go e5 and effectively transpose into a Vienna game. The third would be to go g6, which is kind of like really trying to make me go d4. I don't want to go d4 because my opponent is going to be better prepared than me in those lines. So, let me just think a second. Yeah, I do have to be aware of knight e4, and pawn d5, forking my minor pieces. Now, in this position, if knight takes e4 was played, I believe I can go bishop takes f7, and I have good compensation. It's effectively a fair trade. My opponent goes g6, I think we'll go d3, just to get rid of this possibility, because I'll take with the pawn now. And I kind of want to play it sort of like a Grand Prix attack, with this e4 and f4 sort of setup. But also, you know, if you play the Vienna with the white pieces against, you know, e4, e5, this sort of thing probably looks like not that, like, exact. It's not exactly a Vienna. It also depends on whether black wants to play e5 or c5. I think c5 is technically the best way to play for black, and then build for some like e6, d5 idea. For me, I have two ideas in this position, right? So obviously I want to get castled. Oh, my opponent goes c6. Okay. That's interesting. Let me think a second. So obviously d5 is the idea, right? Like that is clear. Also, b5 is an idea. We have to watch for like b5, b4. So I'm thinking I should drop my bishop back to b3 because I don't want d5 or b5 to come with tempo on my bishop because that would be very annoying. So my opponent goes knight bd7, which is fine by me. We could even consider the immediate a4, stopping b5. My opponent is also probably preparing some knight c5 to attack my bishop, which is somewhat annoying. If I castle, for example, knight c5 attacking the bishop. Yeah, that is kind of frustrating, to be fair. I could go a4, and then on knight c5, drop the bishop back to a2. That is probably the best way to proceed. And my knight defends a4, because my rook will be cut off from my bishop being on a2. But, I mean, I am aware that my pawn probably should be on d4, right? Because then I wouldn't have to worry about any knight c5, and my bishop would sit happily on the b3 square. But, again, my opponent is going to be well-versed in those structures, and I'm not. Like, if I were to study more, maybe I could be, but I don't really want to study more, so I'm not well-versed in it. So I'm kind of okay with playing a bit of a subpar opening. Not subpar, but, like, just not top tier, I suppose, which I guess is subpar. But, you know, I like this. We're stopping b5 because of just take, right? e5, I mean, we might be able to get away with take, but it's probably knight takes e4 with bishop takes e5 to follow. a5 doesn't concern me. That's fine. I think we just castle. Yeah, let's just get castled. And what we may do is play something like queen e2 followed by d4, because obviously we don't want to hang the e4 pawn first. And if d5 is played, I will happily go for a structure with e5, which is why it's important to retreat the bishop, because, you know, back in this position with c6, right, if I castle here and d5 is played, I can't really go e5, because after something like take, I mean, the position kind of peters out, and it's, if anything, black is probably better because of my doubled pawns. which is why it's important for me to retreat my bishop so I can play e5. Okay, whoa. Oh, wow. Ah, right, okay. So if take, 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 queen b6. Is that the idea? To set up discoveries and attack my knight? It must be. Does that work, though? So take, take, take. Queen b6. My knight's under attack. Discoveries are threatened. I can't counterattack the black queen. And my knight is also hanging. Wow, that's quite cool. Perhaps I don't have a way to defend that. I suppose this is why my pawn should have been on d4, right? Okay, so what happens if I ignore it and go king h1, preparing to take, right? If he pushes, I drop back, he takes on a4, I take on f7, he takes back, I take the knight. That's probably okay. That's probably okay. If I go bishop e3... Bishop e3, b4. Same idea with knight e2. Knight a4, bishop f7, rook a4. That should be okay. I do weaken b2, but there's no... Well, I suppose there is actually knight g4 to go after it, but I probably have bishop d4 there, countering the black bishop with my knight supporting. So that's... Actually, no, I can't, because then after take, there's knight e3 of a fork. Okay, so not bishop e3, not bishop e3. What about take, take, and then I just don't take again, right? So, like, take, take, and he's probably going to go b4, I would assume. I'm going to take once. And I'm actually thinking after takes, maybe I just go knight d5. Maybe I go knight d5, just centralizing the knight. Or actually, I should probably wait for b4 to go knight d5. Yeah, that probably makes more sense. I'm in no rush. I also have a bit of a majority in the center now. We've effectively traded A and C pawns, if that makes sense. Like, these pawns have come off the board, which in theory should help us to control the center. Because now my opponent doesn't have very good control over the d5 square. So this is actually quite interesting. So I could consider queen e2, preparing d4, because e4 would be protected. So if bishop e2, sorry, queen e2, I could go h3, stopping the bishop coming in, but I don't think it's that big a deal. If the bishop comes in, I can go h3 then, and that's fine. Yeah, I think that's fine. I could go king h1, preparing bishop e3, and then if knight g4, I can drop back to g1. But I think queen e2 makes a lot of sense, which I'm going to play. So I'm not touching this b5 pawn. If queen b6 is played, I could go bishop e3, but I'd probably go king h1, just stepping out of the firing line. And basically saying to black, like, you know, these pawns are fine, but they are taking your eyes off of the center a bit. And he does go b4. Okay, well, this is the plan, to hop into the middle with knight d5. I also like the fact my bishop is controlling the b2 square. So this bishop isn't such a big deal. By the way, if you're enjoying the video so far, please drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate it. And I think we're approaching like 23,000 subscribers, which is insane. So thank you very much. And also apologies for the lack of uploads over the past like 5 days. I've been away and just literally haven't been able to upload. So apologies for that. Okay, bishop to b7, attacking the knight. Taking looks like the most reasonable option. Is it, though? Is it? Let's say I go like king h1, right? And we have take, 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 take. I do have doubled pawns. But this is kind of a problem. Maybe. Maybe. Okay, what else can I do? Good question. What else can I do? Well, I can take here. So take. Could push e5, but I have to say I'm not totally sure about that. There is queen d4 check ideas, which could be annoying. So take, e5, take. Oh no, there's no queen d4. My knight controls it, but he can take here first. Rook takes queen d4, bishop e3. No, that doesn't really work, does it? f7 is defended. So take. I don't have pawn d4 because e4 hangs. Maybe just knight e3? That's quite interesting. Oh, I love that. I really like that idea. I'm actually just going to jump out of the position. This may look like a strange move, but can you guys see what I'm seeing here? Why I've played that so quickly after spotting it? Can you see what I'm thinking? My idea is f5. So, all the way back in this position, I was saying we have a few different ideas, right? There are several ways to play this position. One of them is to try to execute the move f5. Now, traditionally, you achieve this by going knight e2, knight g3, f5, with the knight controlling f5, right? One of the issues with that is that this bishop can be annoying, controlling the f5 square. However, now, the bishop is not controlling f5, and our knight, okay, it hasn't gone to g3, but it's achieved the same thing of defending the f5 square. So f5 looks very interesting. My opponent pushes a4. Okay. Playing for b3, I assume, which we do have to watch out for. I could try and get my bishop out of there, and then if b3, probably c3. If bishop to c4, can my opponent go d5? Take. It's not perfect, but maybe that's a way to go. I could go bishop b1 immediately, but that feels very sad. It was very sad. Okay, what if I go f5, b3, bishop b1? Does my opponent have a threat? I'm not sure he does. I mean, I'm not sure I have a major threat either, but I keep the pawn chain altogether. My bishop supporting. Not the worst idea ever. I could also consider something like c3. Take he has the passed a pawn. That's probably not good. Yeah, so if bishop here, pawn up. I'm not convinced. e5, take, bishop takes, knight takes. My opponent's bishops are just absolutely gorgeous. Can't allow that. Okay, let's go f5. I need to make a decision. My opponent tries to counterattack. I'll go e5, and I'm probably winning in that position because I'll get d4 in as well. But, you know, my opponent's not going to do that. But you can see how, you know, in some situation we could get a ton of pressure on f7. I don't think we quite have the firepower for that. I do think that black's minor pieces are incredibly well placed. I'm sure I've made a couple of mistakes here to allow such an active position for black, but I also think that practically we have some decent chances. Okay, we do see b3, so taking would be a huge mistake. I do have to drop back. And to be fair, he probably has to take this, because if he doesn't, I go c3. And I have a very good clamp on the a3 square. I have 1, 2, 3 pieces monitoring it. I could even add another one with knight c4 if I really need to. I feel like that might be an overextension. So if takes, I assume bishop takes? Just because it keeps all this together and applies some pressure. If knight b3, I probably have to take that. And go bishop d2? I can get this, that could be good. If my opponent doesn't take, then I think I'm going to push c3 to just try and keep this bishop out the game. I mean, ideally, I'd love to get c3, d4 in. The issue is the e4 pawn, which is attacked 3 times and will only be defended once. So, you know, we got to keep that in mind. But this is a bit of a double-edged position. It's a very interesting position. I have no idea who's better. If I had to guess, I'd probably guess black is slightly better, because these pawns do look strong. Okay, a6. So he's threatening to take on e4 because of this pin. Sure, sure. I can go c4. I'm going to play it. This looks really good. I'm cutting this off. Yeah, I know my bishop isn't great. I'm well aware. But it's also blocking up black's position a good bit. The bishop isn't all that effective. a4 is under attack. It's only defended once. I'm also getting closer to executing d4 because my opponent's taken his eyes off of the e4 pawn. So I theoretically only need one more defender to execute d4, and if I do, then my center's going to be incredible. And my bishops will open up as well. Okay, this is interesting. This is interesting. And I don't... Yeah, there's no tactics of taking, because I've got really good defense over the c4 pawn. Taking would be completely lost. My knight gets into f5. That's why my opponent's keeping the tension, because he cannot take. My knight is too strong on the f5 square. In conjunction with my bishop as well, going for the dark squares, you just can't do that. So, okay. Another advantage of c4 is that it clamps down on d5. Whoa, e6. Okay, that's a big commitment. Do I go g4? Do I go g4? Just keeping everything locked up? g5 could be an idea in the future, going for like g5, f6. That could be crushing. And g5, my knight defends. Taking looks wrong. Taking looks wrong. Let's go g4. Let's put the pressure on. We have this really interesting pawn structure in the center, just trying to dominate the light squares. a4 is still weak. a4 is still weak. I suppose the thing is with taking, right? If knight takes, then okay, I get a4, brilliant. But if takes and pawn takes, I'm actually helping black to counterattack. I don't want to do that. Okay, ef5 looks dangerous, I'm not going to lie. I feel like I should take back with the g-pawn to keep the clamp on d5. Again, you can't take a second time because of knight takes. You just can't do that. I have some vague ideas of bishop g5, knight d5. Obviously, I can't do that yet. Whoa, doesn't that just give me a pawn? I think my opponent's just missed the pawn. Easy mistake to make. Easy mistake to make. But I think we're just winning now. This is one of my ideas with this c4 move, is that, like I said previously, I said I'm pretty sure you have to take here, because otherwise a4 is never going to push, and you've got weaknesses then. Okay, knight h5. The queen has no entry points. We're cutting that off, right? I assume knight f4 is the idea. Opening the bishop up as well. Okay, what if I go knight to d5? Just activating the knight. Opening the bishop up. Bishop to g5 could be a strong move. If he here and takes, knight in attacking this knight, then preparing rook takes, that looks pretty good to me. Let's go knight d5. I'm obviously aware of potential discoveries on the rook. I'm also stopping queen b6, which is useful. But to be honest, like, I have bishop e3 here. If this bishop ever moves, I can just take. It comes with tempo on the queen. Even if the queen moves, I'm attacking the rook. I don't think there's a big problem there. I think we are close to winning. This bishop is hitting b2, but b2 is well defended by the queen and the bishop. There is also no knight to f4 because my knight and my bishop control f4, so that's no problem. It's funny having the bishops just sat on the first rank, just kind of sniping the position. I can consider something like knight b4 going after the bishop, but it feels like I'm getting off track if I go for that. Something like rook a3 looks reasonable, just applying pressure. Okay, rook e8. Sure. That queen doesn't have many squares. Bishop g5 is interesting. Also, taking is more interesting now because the rook isn't on the f-file. I suppose the point is if take, I can't take because of this. So maybe I go queen g2, lining this up. Also keeping the queen out, just getting off the e-file. That makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, let's play it. I like it. I think it's a simple move. We have some like potential energy here as well. Something could happen there. We're also getting off the line of the bishop, which can't be bad. Okay, knight e5. This is fine. We do have ideas in the future of take, and knight to c7 potentially. Although it's probably unnecessary in most positions. Whoa. Okay, taking makes no sense. Pushing loses a pawn. Do I take? If bishop takes, the g-file could be an issue. If rook takes, I don't really care. If pawn takes, it blocks the bishop. Yeah, let's just take. We're up a pawn as well, so trades are useful. Okay. Bishop takes chosen, which is fine. I'm considering, to be fair, I think I should take this. Because the bishop has abandoned the king and the rook has abandoned the king. So the king's looking a little bit better. Okay, h takes. Some potential ideas of take in the future. Obviously, I don't have enough control over g6 for now. Bishop here looks nice. I'm going to play it. b2 is defended, by the way. I don't want to allow any queen to h4 weird things. Probably want to do something with my rook. Just, well, it's never hanging though, is it? Because the bishop doesn't have anywhere good enough to go to justify a trade. So I guess I can leave my rook here, and it's actually kind of occupying two of black's pieces. My opponent could go queen to d7, attacking the rook, but then maybe knight b6, queen c6. It's complicated. I don't like complications. Maybe rook b4. Preparing this. Rook a3 hitting this. Obviously, you know, you should be noticing these sorts of ideas which could be useful. My bishop does kind of suck, but it is what it is. Knight b6, queen c6. Can I go like queen f2? Attacking. Rook a7. No, then I can take. Actually, no, I don't have a checkmate, do I? No, I shouldn't risk that. It's unnecessary. I'm gonna go rook b4. I'm not convinced this is the best move. You know, maybe I shouldn't be giving up the a-file, but I don't think it's bad. b2 is still defended. I don't think my opponent will miss that. Although, something like take, queen g4, I guess I could just have queen back to g2, and I'm fine. I'm a little bit low on the clock, so I've got to hurry up a bit, but I am up a pawn. Oh, Wait, no, there's no knight b6 because bishop d4. Ah, that's true. I probably want to put my king on h1 if I get the chance. I do have to watch out for some ideas, yeah. It's true, it's true. I do have tremendous pressure. Okay, rook b8. What do I do on rook b8? I assume I should take it. So take. Trades can't be terrible. I have this check, but it's not that useful. This check is interesting from the standpoint of going for like take and queen takes g6 because the knight is covering. My bishop's in the way for now, though. That could be a potential checkmating idea, though. It would probably involve dropping my bishop back to h4 to open the queen up. d4 is also very tempting to try and open up my bishop, but I don't see an amazing way to do that. He does go rook b8. I'm going to take it. This does look very enticing. Yeah, there's no knight in. Does look enticing. I could offer trades. Oh, maybe that's the easiest thing to do. Kind of forces trades. Because if knight takes, it comes with a fork, so you have to take. Rook takes. Not sure I want that many trades, though. Knight takes, bishop takes, rook takes, queen e7. Queen g5. Threatening takes. King g7. I still do it. Nah, that can't be bad. That can't be bad. Wait, if here he can go bishop takes. Let's go bishop in. Queen e6. Check. Check. Here. Takes. No, I'm giving him too much there. Bishop e3. I'm going to go bishop e3. I just like the bishop on this square. I think it controls lots of useful squares. We are maybe preparing d4, although obviously I've got to watch for c4. I don't really want this bishop coming to d4. It could be really strong there. I don't see an immediate breakthrough, but I also don't think I have to. My bishop is bad, though. Very bad bishop. Could go for, like, knight f4 moves, maybe? I'm obviously trying to figure out some sacrifice ideas. Maybe the bishop was better on h4 to prepare knight e7. I just thought it was a waste. Like, if I go here, I thought my opponent just goes like rook e8. I don't know. Okay, bishop back to g7. King h1 looks realistic. Feasible. I don't know. What else can we do? I'm going to start a king h1, just because, I mean, it gets my king out of the firing line. That can't be a bad idea. My opponent can't really move. His knight is stuck, actually. His knight's completely stuck. Okay, bishop b7. Hold on, now he's allowing this, though. And if I get my bishop to d3, I'm very happy. So he's taken his eyes off of c4. Ah, this is brilliant now. It's brilliant. If take, which pawn do I take back with? That's a question. I mean, probably the e pawn, right? To open up my light squared bishop. Although there's also a case to be made for taking back with the c pawn. but probably not. Okay, queen e6. There's no threat. Well, no, there kind of is, actually. Because if take, I can't take like this because of this. Sure. Which means what? Could consider this. No, not with this existing. No. Okay then. Let's go queen f3, eyeing this up and ensuring my bishop is defended. So if bishop takes, pawn takes, the bishop is fine. I don't really want to drop it back if I don't have to. I also don't want to trade for this knight because it sucks. I mean, maybe if he does like take, he can come back in like this. Okay, rook f8, sure. Okay, now I'm liking bishop back because of this. b3 is hard to defend. Well, it actually can't be defended. Can it? Take. Probably take in with the c-pawn to keep the diagonal completely shut towards my king. And then how do you defend? Because you don't have time for a rook over because the queen is hanging. Yeah, let's grab. Let's grab it. My opponent could try bursting out with some f5. No, this is defended. Phew. For some reason, I thought I just completely hung the pawn. If f5, I can also take. It looks very risky. I could do it, though. I could also consider something like queen h3, pinning the pawn to the queen. That's another option. I could go for that. Okay, so bishop back. I don't quite understand the point of that. Don't quite get it. We're up 2 pawns, though. And I have a very simple plan of pushing the b pawn. I think I might just come back. f5. I can take. I have very good control. This is still defended. There's no good way to apply more pressure. My knight is just glorious, and this knight sucks. The knight also can't come back in now because of just take. And I think just b4, b5, b6. And that doesn't look easy to stop. I am down to only 2 minutes, though, so I might have to shut up a bit and figure it out. Just try and convert this position, but I'm trying to cut down on my opponent's counterplay. I can also start looking for trades, but I've got to make the right trades. Because, like, I don't want to trade these 2 knights, for example, because my knight is just so strong. It's stopping so much of my opponent's counterplay, or potential counterplay. e5 ideas don't seem very good. No. c5 is slightly more interesting, but it does leave my knight a bit weak. Which is why I'm thinking I just leave these pawns as they are and push the b pawn. If rook b8, I still go b4. My knight's defending, and it makes the f pawn weaker. Yep, let's do it. If bishop c6, pawn b5, bishop takes, pawn takes, everything is kept together. Okay, trying to infiltrate with the rook. I do have this. Can I distract this queen? Sorry, wait, no, there's knight c7. What am I on about? Yeah. That's game. Yeah, there's nothing. Okay. Well, that doesn't do anything. I think my opponent's just throwing his pieces away. Oh, no. Oh, my God. I completely missed that. Okay. Okay. Right. That was a very good idea. I completely missed that. Completely missed that. Bishop takes as a threat. I like pushing, takes and pushing. Oh no, my bishop's hanging. Oh my god. I can't believe that. Bishop a2? Threatening this. Bishop a2, bishop d4, queen g6. Yeah. Oh my god. Okay, well I'm up a piece. I am up a piece. That's worth noting. But my knight is out of the game currently. I need to bring it back somehow. We got some good pressure. If I take, I do have to watch for queen f3, which would be annoying, and I'll have to drop my queen back, although I probably defend there. Queen over. Okay. Well, let's come here. Defending the knight. Keeping the pressure on. That looks correct. Again, if take, I have take with check, because the pawn is pinned to the king. Okay. Give a check. Do I take? That looks... That's interesting, actually. No, I am actually going to. This is an idea. I know I'm playing in a risky manner, but I feel like I've got good chances to... Well, I basically don't want to be too passive either. I don't want to be too passive. Knight e4? Check. Bishop blocks. Trying to figure out what I can do. Check here. I don't really have anything. This is a threat. Do I go here? Just threatening this and this. Here. Take, here, check, here, mate. Oh my god, there's knight f2. There's knight f2. Oh my god. Okay, I have an idea. Let's give a check. Queen g2. Attacking the knight, attacking g6. That's a good idea. The thing is, I don't think I can go for sacrifices. Because if I give this check, this check, this check, the knight can always block in some way. So I don't think it works. I'm also preventing knight f2, which is why I like queen g2. This bishop is actually a bit misplaced. Because it's a target. How does he defend? If he moves his knight, I just win. If he takes my knight, I just win. Here I take with check and I win. This has been a crazy ending. Crazy ending. And it's still not over. My opponent has fought back so well. That's a great move. I think. Well, I guess I just come here. Everything is defended. The knight has no moves. It's dominated by my bishop. This is a cool little setup. I guess I could just try and throw the pawn down the board. H4 is also interesting. To be fair, I might just be winning a piece if I play that. King moves, maybe, to give the knight a square. Yep. I think now is time to bring the knight back. And try and use my extra piece. Okay, let's threaten g6. I have 2 checks. Not sure which one I want yet, so I'm going to just apply some pressure first. If knight f8, knight e6 might be winning. Take, take. Okay, knight g5. Yeah, but still this. Still this. So let me just calculate. Check, take, check. If here I have mate. If here, take this with check. I can also give a check. Ah, no, I give a check, don't I? And then I take the knight with check. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Knight e6, killer. If you move the king... I mean, I assume taking is fine. Take, take, check. You know, the queen can't do everything by herself. The back rank is defended. This diagonal's defended. Oh my god. This is insane. I completely missed that my rook on f1 was hanging after that bishop g4 move. I still think taking the bishop was probably the best move, though. h4 is also a move. That feels very risky, but if take and take, king back... Yeah, I don't have an immediate checkmate, do I? I probably shouldn't go for it. Do I have a way to trade? Can I go like here, threatening this? Also threatening this? That's quite cool, actually. I think I'm going to go for it. Because if I get this check, I trade and I win. Yeah, there we go. And I win. Beautiful. But if I don't, I have queen e4 anyway. And then g6 will fall. And I kind of put the queen in front of the bishop, which is a better setup. So my idea was basically, let's say my opponent plays king back, so that this doesn't come with a check. Then I can consider something like queen to e4, setting up the battery. And I'm still monitoring this diagonal. And that should be completely winning. What a game. That was a crazy, crazy game. Let's jump into the analysis and see what the computer has to say. Okay, so take a breath. 85.5% accuracy for us, 81.1% for my opponent. Certainly not a perfect game from either of us, but I mean, what a game. So, okay, we have a Pirt's defense. I know d4 is the best move. I know knight f3 is probably also very good, but I like bishop c4. It's kind of interesting. To be fair, maybe starting with f4 is a better way to do it. And after something like g6, if my opponent plays in the same way, maybe like knight f3, bishop g7. Yeah, I still have to go d4, really. Although I think e5 is actually quite an interesting move. Or it might be bishop c4, castles e5 is like an interesting line. I'm sure I've seen Miodrag Perunovic talk about it, but okay. Bishop c4, the game is equal, but okay. g6, d3, engine again really wants d4, obviously. Bishop g7, pawn f4. Oh, by the way, what I was talking about here is that knight takes e4 is an idea, and if knight takes, then d5 wins back the piece. However, if knight takes, I have bishop f7, king f7, knight e4, and material is equal, but the king can't castle. After something like king back, I don't know, d4, which is better, realistically. The engine suggests d5, knight g3, and h5. Like, that's not very natural at all. I think this is very hard to play with black. So, okay. Bishop g7, f4, castles, knight f3. The game is completely equal. c6, I go bishop b3. I didn't like a4 because of d5. And if I retreat the bishop, take, and, you know, I don't really want to trade the queens. I have a good position, but yeah, bishop b3, then if d5, I can go e5, and we're just much better here. Like, knight back, d4, c5. I can maybe... Oh, no, that hangs the pawn, actually. So you can't even go c5. If you go like e6, preparing c5, personally, I like this idea of knight e2, and on c5, we can go c3, and this bishop is kind of useless now. So knight bd7, we have a4. Again, the engine wants d4, which I knew was the best move, really. But again, I know my opponent knows these structures. He'll probably go for something like c5. And here I have to find e5 or I'm worse. I don't know. I just want a4. So knight c5, bishop back, and a5, which really confused me. I mean, we got to see later on the idea of a5, but I still don't think it was necessary. I mean, it is the second best move, actually. e5 being the best move, but I'm happy with e5. I mean, like I said, I don't think I can go take, take, take because of knight takes, and then this is exposed, and that is correct. But even if I just go like take, take, bishop e3, I think this is quite comfortable for us, to be honest. And then here, if black doesn't find queen d6, we're just much better. So, you know, we have a5, castles, b5, ab5 is best, cb5 is best, but queen e2 is the mistake. Okay, so the engine actually wants us to grab the pawn, allowing this and going for this, which I saw. I saw this line. What was my issue with this? I think I was just thinking, like, you know, with all of this going on, how am I justifying this? Okay, knight e6. Applying pressure. Pinned, right? Let's say I take. Bishop takes. Oh, I have king h1. I'm okay there. Okay. The engine also likes e5. fe5. de5. And I just take. What? Knight takes? This is nuts. And I have rook takes is best. Let's say I take this, then bishop takes, and I'm in a bit of trouble. I don't know, it just all seemed very complicated, but I should have gone for it still. Queen e2 is a miss, b4 is best, knight d5, bishop b7. I thought that was an excellent move from my opponent. And here, knight e3 is a mistake. The engine really wants me to take. And after takes, e5. Yeah, I calculated this. I thought take, take. And I think I got concerned about bishop f3. Because I think I thought after rook f3, queen d4, I was losing the pawn. It's like bishop e3 and queen takes, but there is actually d4. That's not the end of the story, though, because there's also queen b2. And after rook a to f1, if queen a2, I'm supposed to take here. And this is a bit of a mess, but the engine thinks we're much better. Queen e6 being the only move, pinning this and defending this. Okay, knight e3. a4 is the best move. I go f5, counter-attacking. b3, bishop e1 is the best move. Here I thought that my opponent should take. The engine does think it's fine. After bishop takes, queen b6, king h1, stepping out of this. Knight b3. I did think he would go for this knight b3 idea and go for like something like take, 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 and take, trying to infiltrate. I thought this might be something my opponent would look for. But bishop a6, c4 is the best move, shutting everything down. And here, I thought we were doing quite well, to be honest. The engine thinks that black is better. And e6 is fine, but bishop b7 is better. Again, just stopping me from going d4 and ensuring a4 is defended. My opponent obviously went e6. g4 is good, but the engine actually suggests d4. What? Knight takes. fg6? What on earth? Takes. Oh, right. I didn't consider that. And of course, if take, I can take, so that's not a problem. Or even if takes, I suppose I can take. But this is still very complicated. I mean, queen b6 is good. Lining this up, let's say king h1. This is still very complicated. Very complicated. I chose g4, which the engine here says is inaccurate, but it's actually not. It's just as good as playing d4. If, in fact, it might actually be slightly better. But okay, g4. e5, gf5, knight cd7 is a blunder, because of course it just blunders the pawn. Again, I think bishop b7 would have been a better idea, but the problem is, from a human perspective, that's very hard to do. You've just gone to a6, and then you're coming straight back to b7. It feels like a massive waste of time, but the thing is, because the center is so closed, I think that's why time is not that big a deal, because, like, nothing is exploding. You can take a bit of time here. But, I mean, even here, the engine, you know, it says it's minus 0.7. I do think it's difficult to prove from a practical perspective. Like, let's say I go Queen G2, similar to like I did in the game, right? I mean, here, Knight CD7 is good. Same sort of thing my opponent did in the game. Let's say King H1, just improving my king a bit. I mean, it doesn't seem that easy to, like, push here with black. Like, I don't know, Queen B6. There's so many options. Rook A3 is good, which I did consider in the game. Knight D1 is a move, which I think is ridiculous. Let's say, like, Bishop D2, trying to come here, maybe. I mean, this game is not over. This game is not over. Let's say, like, I don't know, King H8. Maybe I go Bishop C3. Okay, that hangs the knight. My bad. But there's lots of ideas, is my point. My opponent blunders a pawn, and there is no useful discovery. Knight H5 is also inaccurate. I have to say I didn't really understand that move, other than trying to bring the queen. Knight D5 is, it says it's inaccurate, but it's not. Rook A3 is also good, which I considered. Rook E8, Queen G2. Queen G2 doesn't pose a threat. The best move is actually Bishop G5, attacking the queen. I assumed my opponent would do this, so I thought that was the whole point of all of this weird knight maneuvering. And then here the engine still wants Queen G2 anyway, or Knight D2, opening the rook up, I guess. Oh, and also maybe preparing D4 to make sure the central pawns are okay. But okay, Queen G2, Knight E5, Knight E5, Bishop E5. I'm very happy I decided to take on E5. Bishop E5 is the best move. FG6 is a mistake if my opponent finds Bishop D4. Why? Here. You have to take with the F pawn. My idea was Bishop H6. If the F pawn took to stop Rook F8. And then Bishop B7 only move to try and hold on. Rook B4. Take. Bishop is under attack, so the bishop has to then trade itself off. That's a very specific set of moves, and black ends up down 2 pawns with not very clear compensation. Again, Rook F8 only move. Okay, no, I don't think that is a mistake. I think that the engine is just being an engine, and HG6 is perfectly reasonable. Bishop G5 is a miss. The engine wants King H1. Oh, yeah, again, just because the engine wants to go for this weird Bishop D4 stuff, I think. But Queen D7. Oh, no, that is the best move. Okay. Rook B4. And black is kind of back in it. So what was I supposed to do? King H1. Let's say he goes for this anyway. Okay, then Knight B6. Oh, right. Oh, no, okay, I understand now. It is to do with Bishop D4. It is, because after Bishop D5 here and here, there's this check, right? If that check doesn't exist, let's say like Queen C6, or in fact, let's just triangulate the kings real quick. And we have this position here. So basically the same idea, except my king is on H1. Here I can play something like Rook B4, and after like Rook moves, Queen F3, attacking. How do you defend that? If like Rook here, I have Knight D5 threatening this. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So okay, Rook B4 is still fine, but the point is that I should have gone King H1. Rook AB8, take Bishop E3. The engine thinks after Bishop G7, which my opponent plays, the position is equal. Wow. I was kind of thinking that during the game, that like, I mean, if anyone wins this, it's probably white, right? Like from a practical perspective, as we saw in the game, of course. But it's not easy. So King H1 best. Bishop E7 is inaccurate. I mean, that's the thing. Like, the engine's saying Rook D8, Rook F8, Rook E8. Bishop E7 is inaccurate because of D4. And now this is problematic. Because now if you try to come back, I just defend. And now my pieces are really in the game. And then the best move is Bishop back to B7, I mean. It's ridiculous. So Queen E6 is good. I go Queen F3, which is good as well. I thought this was a very smart move. Because if I play like Bishop D3, After take and take, and the queen moves, I thought this was okay for black. I thought that on queen f3, if bishop takes, I should go e takes, and I am correct, because now the bishop is defended. And I think this is an easier structure to play, to be honest. So rook f8, bishop g1 is the best move. Okay, love that. What was my idea with that? Oh, yeah, to open this up. Bishop c6, queen b3. I mean, realistically, how do you defend this? The engine suggests bishop a6, which I think I considered during the game. And if takes, you have to find rook c8. Yeah, going after this makes sense. I mean, even then, it's still difficult. So bishop c6, queen b3, bishop d7, queen back to f3, best continuation. Just keeping the pressure on. There's no f5 because of ef5. If you take like this, I take the knight. And you can't take with the rook because of my bishop. My bishop finally comes into the game. So rook b8, b4. And I mean, I just have this pawn wall. Rook a8, knight c7 is crucial. I mean, knight c7 is the best move, right? But I was thinking, if I go like b5 and the rook comes in, I should be winning. But this is like slightly complicated now. This is slightly complicated. So rook, knight c7, queen c4, knight a8. Bishop g4 was a brilliant move. Brilliant move. I completely missed the idea. Completely missed. The engine wants this or this or that. Oh yeah, queen d3. That's a great move. And if takes, I bring the knight back. And I'm just up a rook. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm covering everything. My king is completely safe. My pieces watch over each other perfectly. Perfectly coordinated. And my knight will land back into the position. This knight still can't get into the game very well. Like, let's say knight f6. h3 is the best move, but even just knight here is perfectly reasonable. Just trading. So queen g4, I completely missed queen f1. Bishop a2 is the best move, though. So I'm happy I found that, keeping the advantage. Here, knight f4 is best. My opponent goes queen a1, allowing bishop d5. And again, I'm getting a good coordination, right? And if you take here, I have queen g6. Crucial move because of the pin. If knight g7, then bishop f7, I'm fine. If you move the king here, you get mated. If you move the king here, I take with check. So, knight f6, queen c8, only move. Only move. I'm happy I found it. Because I actually thought that if I, like, come back to f3, for example. Well, no, actually just take, I lose the knight. Yeah, so I have to. I have no choice. So, I mean, I could go for this, but after something like takes, I have to do this, and this is way too complicated. So, check here. Bishop f7 is good, and black has no proper attack here. My opponent does go knight e4, and I was trying to figure out, can I go for this? But I was like, well, no, because here, and my opponent covers up. And here I have to bring my knight back in, and it's more complicated. I was also trying to consider after knight e4, can I give this check? Now, if my opponent comes up, then that's easy, right? But if my opponent comes back, oh, I have this. I missed that. Had I seen that, I would have played it. I would have played this. And this is easy now. I mean, take, I probably have some kind of mate coming up. I can always defend my bishop anyway, and my knight is defended, and my bishop is fine, so... Yeah, queen h3, bishop h7 only move, and queen g2, not the best move. Queen e6, the engine suggests, but that's unnecessarily complicated. Also hanging the knight, I mean, there's no need to do that, because, you know, like queen e6, knight f2, king g2, let's say, take here. I mean, I don't need this kind of complication, do I? This is unnecessary. So, queen g2, knight g5, bishop d5, happy to find that. And after king g7, knight c7. Now I'm bringing the knight back. And after knight h7, bishop e4. I could have given either of these checks. The engine does prefer it. It likes check. I thought king f6 could be played. And the engine wants to bring the knight back. And if I give a check, the king runs. And I kind of thought, well, I actually don't have a continuation here. The engine suggests this, preparing this, which is kind of nuts. But yeah, bishop e4, knight g5, knight e6, I was very happy with this. If you take this, you just lose, because queen g6, if here, you get mated, and if here, I did find this. And then if you go here, I take with check, and if you go here, I actually have mate. I didn't see that. I just thought I'd take this, and then, you know, you're just in a you're just in checks forever, and you will get mated at some point. Or I can just take this. So, yeah, that was my idea. So you can't do it. King f6, best move. Take, bishop d3, I was very happy with. Is the second best move. Queen g3 being the best move. But, like, it's unclear why that's the best move. I guess it's because it stops this and prepares this. I don't know. But I thought, like, check, the king runs, and it's not totally clear what I'm doing. So bishop d3 I really liked. Setting this up. And I thought... I mean, obviously my opponent fell for it and then resigned. I thought if, like, the king goes back... Oh, yeah, sorry, I have takes. Yeah, I have takes. So let's say, like, the queen retreats. Then I thought I can try and bring my queen up. And then here the engine wants to defend like this, but then I just trade queens, so that's game over. And if you go, like, queen here, then, I mean, the queen's completely out of the game. I can probably go, like, d5. That's going to be game over. So, yeah. We force a queen trade, and the game is over. That was a crazy game. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you found it interesting, a little bit heart-wrenching towards the end of the live game. Hopefully the analysis was useful for you as well. And yeah, if you want to check out the previous episodes of the Climb to 2300, playlist down there, go check it out. And if you want to see another game in the Pirt's defense, check out the video up there. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in one of those videos.